Hi, welcome to Nicky's vlog. And today I want to talk about white privilege. And actually I'm going to talk about it by referring to an idea of Socrates that we know about because Plato wrote about it in the Republic. And it's called the Allegory of the Cave. And Socrates creates this mind game, and we know about it because Plato is recording a conversation between Socrates and Plato's brother, where he says, imagine that if you take human beings and from birth and you chain them in a cave where the only thing that they can see are the shadows on the cave wall from a fire. Here's a painting that kind of depicts it, or depicts what's going on in the allegory of the cave. And you can see these people here are living in the dark. They can only see the shadows that are created by the characters here that are playing behind them. And they can't see the fire and they can't see the shadow. All they can see are the shadows on the wall in the front. And Plato says, if that's your life, if you're chained up so that all you can see are these shadows on the wall, that becomes your reality and that becomes your experience, and all you can conceive of is the shadows on the wall. And then he says, what happens if one of these people is taken unchained and dragged out of the cave and shown the sun? And the first thing that happens is the sun is blinding and it's all strange and all new, and you know that's very frightening for the person that you've taken out because it's all new and all different, but it shows that they've been living in a box or in a cave and that their perceptions from their old life are not reality. And then further he goes and says, well, what happens if you bring the person from outside who now knows the sun exists and now has seen the whole world, and bring him back in and chain him back up with his former inmates? Well, they will all think he's mad. They'll all think he's mad because he's talking about something that they have no experience of, that they have no empirical evidence of. And actually, Socrates suggested that probably what would happen is, in order to preserve their sanity, they'll kill the guy that comes back in and says the world outside is bigger. What's this got to do with white supremacists? Well, on my Facebook profile, I was having a conversation with somebody who said that white privilege does not exist, and quoted a book and all sorts of stuff at me that seems to prove, to his mind, that there is no such thing as white privilege. I strongly suspect there would be the same people who would say the same thing about male privilege. And of course, I've had my eyes opened, because by cross-dressing and seeing the world from a more female point of view, I absolutely know that there is male privilege. I have experienced it from both sides, and it absolutely, fundamentally, it exists. But I had no idea that I was the beneficiary of that male privilege until I cross-dressed. And that's made me take a long, hard look at my white privilege. And absolutely, it exists. Absolutely, I am the beneficiary of being both white and male. And my whole life, I have never understood that that's the case. Because I've been chained in the wall, looking at shadows. When you get dragged out into the sun, you start to see the whole world, and you start to see it from other people's point of view, then you start to see things like straight, white, male privilege. So trust me, it exists. It may not be institutional, which is one of the points I was arguing with this guy, that maybe we have done a good job of removing institutional racism. We've made it illegal, and maybe, we should think about doing the same thing about institutional misogyny. But that's a different thing from systemic racism and systemic misogyny. And both of those exist because we are the culture, we are the product of the culture that we've been brought up in. And if we've been brought up in a box where normally it's okay to be misogynistic and it's okay to be racist and it's okay to assume that because all the people around you are straight and white and male, that therefore that's what the world is like, it's very difficult for those people in that privileged position to understand that they have some privilege because they don't know what it's like to have it removed. So, for all those people that are apologizing for the people that don't believe that this exists, I would argue that that's what's causing the problem. Like, we can't solve it if the vast amount of people that are in power don't believe it's an issue. If you don't believe that misogyny is an issue, that racism is an issue, if you genuinely believe that the world is a fair place and that there's nothing we can do about it, and you're the people in power, what else can anybody else do except revolt? Or do this kind of thing. Drag you out to the sun and show you that the world is a bigger place, that there's more going on than everything that you see. If you live in small town America or small town UK, if all of your friends are white and all of your friends are straight and all of the people that you interact with on a daily basis are, to you, normal, maybe it's time to get out your box. Walk out the cave and see what's on the other side. Maybe, just maybe, you might find the world's a nicer place. Thanks for watching. Love to know what you think. Please get me at @NickyTake/NickyTake, or just Google Nicky Take. You can pretty much find me anywhere. Love to know what you think in the comments, and please share and like and all that kind of stuff. Bye.